2 games so far. The Badgers have won both of them 2-0, now ranked 9th in the country and getting a little bit closer to the Big Ten portion of the schedule. Hi, everyone. Back inside Heritage Hall with Matt LePay and Mike Lucas. I'm Chris Hall. It's Badger Breakdown after 2 straight weeks. A beautiful day at Camp Randall, guys. Injuries, we're going to get to that. The Big Ten schedule coming, we're going to get to that too. But right now, on this Wednesday, as we get ready for that second home game before you feel like you're tuned up and ready to go, everything go kind of according to plan for you, or maybe you saw a lot more guys than you thought you did?
I was impressed, Chris, because I wanted to see it, how they came out coming off such an emotional win in a season opener that had a post-game presentation and all of that. But they were a heavy underdog in game 1, big favorite in game 2. How are you going to handle that? In the opening kickoff, they take it and they drive down the field and score, and really they never allowed Akron to have any chance to believe that the Zips could come in here and get the upset. So I thought it was impressive how they played. Never perfect. I'm sure Paul and his staff they've found 101 things they can improve on. But when you win 54-10, especially coming off a game like LSU, you say, that's a pretty good day's work.
And the thing that stood out for me is the balance that they've had through 2 games in the receiving corps. Troy Fumagalli in the opener against LSU, and then Jazz Peavy established himself in the first half against Akron, and Rob Wheelwright has been kind of consistent through both of those games and almost got 100 yards last Saturday. And that really bodes well, I think, for the future, that you have some options, some receiving options, and they really haven't thrown to their running backs yet either. So that gives them a little bit of flexibility to expand their passing attack.
You're talking about balance, too. It's not just if you have to ask Bart to go back there and make some plays, which he's going to have to do, especially when we go on the road here in a couple of weeks. But they're running the ball when they want. They're throwing the ball where they want. You get to see that this early with a new quarterback. Maybe he's just a second start.
Right, and we talked last week about areas that you wanted to see the Badgers improve upon from the LSU game, the red zone efficiency and the third down efficiency. Well, check.
Right.
Especially third down, where they end up 10 for 15. And it goes back to your point, Chris, that they were able to stay, coaches say stay normal. They didn't have a lot of third and longs, which is a good thing, especially when they're going to start playing the better defenses when they get into the Big Ten portion of the schedule. As they went through, they got away with it in the LSU game, a very good defense. But the efficiency there are other areas that they wanted to improve on too, but those are the noticeable ones. When you get inside the 20, can you finish, and can you move the sticks on third down? And they were able to do that.
Well, you raise a good point, because the level of competition has to be factored into these early games. You can't ignore it.
Of course.
It's also going to be a factor against Georgia State. But what we saw is a team that's starting to build a little confidence in third down situations. That's important moving forward. And I don't care who's on the field defensively. I think they have to start programming themselves and conditioning themselves to making those plays.
Well, not just that. If, let's say, it's not Corey. We don't know if he's going to go this week. We'll see later on in the week. Coach Chris, he may shed light on that on Thursday, tomorrow. We'll see. But if he doesn't go, you had some other guys who were getting a chance to show that they can play in that time when the game was already kind of locked up. Getting some real-life carries. That goes a long way.
Right, and the players who come to mind, obviously, there would be Taiwan Deal and Bradrick Shaw. And we have seen Dario Gumbawale. I think we have a pretty good idea of the versatility that he brings. Well, Taiwan Deal is still, you could say, just getting started in his college career. We saw him last year, but maybe the role could be bigger this year. And let's face it, Bradrick Shaw, and again, I preface it, Akron was worn down as the game was moving along. But Bradrick looked pretty good, and he showed some explosiveness and the long run into the end zone, and he really is just getting started in his college career. So maybe this team, and it's so early, but maybe it's a step in being able to develop some depth at tailback moving forward.
And in this context, they were able to get Brett Connors some snaps, valuable snaps at center with Michael Dieter moving to left guard. And I think we're all well aware of the depth issues with the O-line. Connors can play tackle, guard, and center. So what you're trying to do is acclimate him to a game situation, and that's very important.
Bart Houston, through 2 games, nuances you've seen from, can you go all the way back to spring ball and then fall camp, and then emotional LSU, and then home against Camp Randall? The sample size here has gotten much larger. Where have you seen him develop the most? Maybe it's pre-snap, or maybe it's sharing the ball.
Well, sharing the ball is an obvious one there that we've talked about in each of the first 2 games. His ability to not let a mistake bother him that much. He got away, I think we could say safely. He got away with a couple of throws early in the game against Akron that could have and maybe should have been intercepted. They weren't. But then he shows that velocity, and he shows that pitch-catch relationship with Jazz Peavy, with Wheelwright in the first game with Fumagalli. And what did he say Monday in his news conference? I throw it to the guy who's open.
Right.
And
yeah,
it sounds easy. Isn't always that easy, but he's able to, I think maybe he's getting better and better at just being able to scan the field. And if option A isn't there or B, he can go to C and is feeling more comfortable with it.
I'd like to get to a point with Bart that we could retire during games, Bart being Bart, that phrase. I love Bart being Bart after games and the enthusiasm and the unpredictable nature of his responses. But if he can stay away from those picks, especially in situations, and I think he made a big emphasis of that leading up to the game last week.
Well, he'll get another chance to sharpen that up here at home before we have the first true road test this season. Michigan State, Michigan. Get that in 1 second. Injuries on defense. We talked a couple weeks ago, Chris Orr got hurt right away, and then Jamerson going down with that injury. Concerns there, or you learn who's going to slide in? That defense was young in certain spots to begin with, Matt, but now you lose another guy.
Yeah, that's a key to the game that you really can't control. Avoid a significant injury, because that's a significant injury, obviously, with Chris Orr being out for the season. It's significant with Natrell Jamerson, a return man, somebody who can come in and nickel packages defensively. Enough already, I'm sure, with that. I mean, they are able, we get TJ Edwards back in the linebacking core, so okay, that's a plus, but they're going to have some other guys develop in the secondary, and you can't control it. I get it, but it's something that's a little bit scary, and especially as Luke was saying a couple of minutes ago, this offensive line. That first group's really good. You just don't know how deep they can go. In time, I think they'll be fine, but in the short term, it's definitely something to watch.
The thing with Natrell Jamerson is that he was a key component in their nickel package. So he was that third corner on the field with Tyndall and Shelton. And he also played a role in each of the special teams. So it's what Paul Chryst said on Monday. It's not like you're replacing just one player with Jamerson. Multiple players will have to help fill the void.
So this coaching staff, though, in a position to tap the right guy and to do just that. Some changes, they get to at least try it at home, right? Try and plug here at home to make up for that loss before you go on the road.
Well, they've been so good here for so long, and it was really Brett Bielema who put the title on this program as a developmental program.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly was the case with Barry. It certainly is the case with Paul Chryst and his staff. Now, there might be some guys who are going to have to develop a little quicker than anticipated, perhaps, especially in the secondary, maybe in the offensive line. But I think that has been such a calling card for Wisconsin, maybe all across the board, Wisconsin sports, but specific to football. They've been terrific at developing players, turning the 2-star into a 4 or a 5-star. They just may have to do a little faster at a couple of position groups now.
And the mentality is ingrained within this program. Alvarez, Bielema, and now Paul Chryst. Next man up, next man in. That's how they think. That's how they approach everything. And we saw it in the opener when Chris Orr went down. Ryan Conley stepped in. We were all fumbling around to get some notes on Ryan Conley because he hadn't done a whole lot here, but he had impressed the coaches during the practices. They felt confident. They trusted. I
think with the linebacking core, I don't know this for a fact, but I got to think the Badgers are among the national leaders in former high school quarterbacks who become linebackers.
Indeed, yeah.
Got to be among the best.
You got to be smart.
Bright guys.
They know the game.
Yep,
sure.
Absolutely.
So you have Georgia State coming in. They lost to Ball State. They lost to Air Force. And you have two huge roadies following at Michigan State, at Michigan. The message to the guys to not look to Monday or Sunday. You have a game to play at 11 a.m. on Saturday.
Paul is so good, and look, probably media and even fans have heard Paul use the word opportunity, so far about 400,000 times. Mm-hmm. It's going to keep going, but the players are buying in because they know no matter who you're playing, you only get to play 6 home games. You only get guaranteed 12. And as cliche as it sounds, they get it because they work all year round for this stuff. And the thing about Georgia State, too, real quick, is that they are 0-2, but they've been competitive through a half and change of their first 2 games. Offense just can't stay on the field. Defense wears out. They just wear down in the second half. They've been outscored by 31 points in the second half, but they'll spray the ball around. Secondary could get a few more chances to get a pick or 2.
Plus, you want some momentum going into your Big Ten opener.
Absolutely.
You don't want to just go into that game at Michigan State answering questions about why you didn't play better against Georgia State. Yeah. You want to have a little fuel for the conference opener, and that's why this game is important. It's a big step. despite the level of competition, again, which we started this conversation with, momentum.
Yeah.
You need it for the Big Ten.
Yeah, go in playing your best ball. And for those of you who think you're going to go out and maybe stay up too late on Friday night, don't. Saturday kick is at 11. That is really early, so make sure you behave. And then make sure you pay attention afterwards for all of us to hang out and talk about it, tell you more about with our content on uwbadgers.com. That's it for Badger Breakdown. 3 down. Thanks, guys. Georgia State coming up. For Mike and Matt, I'm Chris.